Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the Q&A of Fully Realized Humans. I hope everyone enjoyed the film, and please remember that this film is available for an audience award. So don't forget to rate all the films that you watch when you're done. And I want to start by thanking all of our major sponsors of the film, and also Hotel San Luis Obispo, our sponsor for this film. We wouldn't be able to pull it off without you. And we're so excited to have Joshua Leonard, writer, director, and actor, and Jess Wexler, writer and actor, with us here today. And where are you joining us from today?
I'm in Santa Monica right now. Yeah. and thank you for doing this with us.
Of course.
And I'm on the other side of Los Angeles, the cool side, the east side.
Oh, cool. All right. Nice.
What a brat.
So first off, I loved this film. I saw it, I think, a year or so ago now, but it's still like left a presence on me, and just found it so, the title I think sums it up, like that wanting to be fully realized before you have children or be an adult, but that journey of getting there. I'm just curious how you two both came to write this together, and yeah, how that kind of started and came about.
Spontaneously.
Okay.
Quickly. Jess and I have known each other for a long time. I guess 12, 13 years now, and we made another film together in 2011, The Lie, and have worked on a couple little things since, but really enjoyed that experience and really enjoy collaborating, and wanted to make something else, and just could never find the right thing or a time where we were both available to make something at the same time. And I was out of the country, kind of sitting around and taking care of my toddler while my wife was working on a show in the UK, and Jess was back in Los Angeles and pregnant. And I was losing my mind a little bit. I was like, I'm going to be back in the States for like 3 weeks over the holidays. If I don't make something, I'm going to lose my mind. Jess is pregnant, 6 months pregnant now. She'll be 8 months pregnant when she's back. I wonder if I could convince her to make a movie with me. So I called her with like the thinnest pitch of an idea. And she said, absolutely not. That's really dumb. And I'm going to be 8 months pregnant and have no desire to work. I was like, all right, well, think about it. And eventually she came over to the other side, and we started talking about it. And then we were both in the same place at the same time, and Jess was very, very pregnant, and we made this movie in 7.5 days, and it was really, really just a joy.
That's exactly what happened. There's not a piece of that is inaccurate.
Was it truly a joy shooting a film 8 months pregnant?
I was freaked out about doing it at first.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, I could go into labor early. That could be a thing. Or just the stress of it. I hadn't been pregnant before, so I didn't just know what the experience was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it was oddly more relaxing to do something than not do something.
Right.
For me, to actually be around somebody I loved and creatively engage with all these big questions that were on my mind anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And just get out there. And Josh made me laugh so much. I was just peeing my pants all the time. It was so much fun. So it was really.
Did we also qualify that you were literally peeing your pants, not just figuratively peeing your pants?
It did happen once or twice because I was pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it definitely paid, like, it pays off because, you are going through all these questions personally as becoming a new mom, and then, you're seeing that and it feels so real and raw, and I think that's something I really like about the film. So, and now you have this memory forever, right?
No, it really feels like a time capsule. Like I have my own little time capsule forever of how awesome it is to be like pregnant and have all these questions and all this hope of a new person awaiting you.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and you also have a document of the things that you did during that time that your daughter will never and should never see.
I have
Yeah.
thought about that a lot. I've,
Yeah.
I've been like,
It's gonna
how
be
do
like,
I hide this movie from her so
Yeah.
that she never is like, Mom,
she's gonna be a
I was
teenager.
right there.
Yeah, how are you gonna talk about the pegging scene will be very interesting. Yeah.
Like, how long can I hide it for before she like finds some picture of me online where I'm pregnant and
Yeah.
goes like, that was me, like
Yeah.
does the math.
Guys, let's also consider the fact that maybe by the time our children are teenagers, pegging will be totally passe.
Yeah, exactly.
We will have moved beyond it and it won't even be provocative at that point.
Yeah.
I feel like though, even just a regular sex scene pregnant should be like, I'm right there.
Yeah.
So we're just, we're just gonna have like some good therapy right before we
I
talk
love that, though, I really just love that whole scene and that whole like concept and idea though, because I just think it brings up a lot of interesting thoughts about, like, hey, you should understand, like, from the male perspective, like what I go through and everything. And where did that idea kind of come from? Because it's something in the movie that it's very funny, but there was actually a lot in it that I found very meaningful.
I
I
think,
think we did too.
sorry, go
Ahead.
on, Jess.
No, I was just saying that we did too find it meaningful that if something was like, what would it be like to give it and to
Mhm.
watch you take it?
Yeah.
I think what we did with this movie, I mean, the questions that we were asking in terms of that kind of invisible, that invisible subconscious paradigm shift that happens from like not being responsible for another human life to being totally responsible for another human life, which I think is a big deal for everybody. But really looking at that transition and being very, Jess and I both being very honest about the stuff and the fears and the baggage and all the things that actually brought up in our lives, and then stepping back from it and going, but that's just a therapy session if we approach it directly. So how do we kind of approach it hyperbolically and put it into a comedy? So all that to say that kind of like hidden in the real outlandish absurdist humor are very pure and true moments to what we were going through. But we're filmmakers. We're not like therapists or circuit speakers about becoming parents. So
Yeah.
it's
I think
it's way easier to invite an audience in with a strap on than it is with Jungian theory.
yeah, and I think though, like, that's what I love about it is that mixture of comedy and like the reality of life. And yeah, I'm not a parent yet, but I'm in my 30s. I want to have kids, but I always have that fear, similar to the parents in the film, is that I need to be ready. Like, I need to be this actualized adult, and to do it. and the reality. I think you see these movies of people just become parents and it's like great and all of that, but it's not, there's a journey there. And I'm curious, like, now that you are parents, do you feel like you're a full adult now, or
I mean, I feel like we see the movies where people are parents and they're completely beside themselves,
Yeah.
and that is absolutely true. And it was important to us to sort of crystallize that moment before the shit hits the fan, because the shit has hit the fan. I mean, that's what life is like. In a really adorable, toddler chaos. But yeah, the expectation of it all, I just had felt like I I wasn't watching anything that set me up for it. The way I felt, I didn't know what show or movie to go like, oh, that's what it feels like, not being sure if I can do this.
Mhm.
And just hearing a bunch of stories about what it's like, but not knowing how I'm going to pass on my own parents' baggage. Like, I
Mhm.
do notice myself doing these things that my parents did,
Mhm.
and some of those things I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And
So,
other baggage and bad habits that we didn't get from our parents. They aren't solely responsible. They're like 96% responsible,
Yeah.
but we've made plenty of bad decisions on our own.
Yeah.
fair enough. Very true. Yes.
And and I think the thing with this movie, and I mean like what we were trying to do with the title is like, obviously there is no such fucking thing as a fully realized human.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the joke of the movie is that these guys, like, the intention is so pure, the intention is so good. The goal itself is entirely unattainable.
Mhm.
And we did our best to approach that with a certain generosity in terms of, kind of the core principle of the movie to me is the acknowledgement and the acceptance that we are all deeply flawed and fallible and trying and aspiring to be better, and nobody wants to fuck up their kids, and we're all going to do it, and our parents did it to us and we did it to our kids, and and through all of that, um the notion of perfection um being kind of a false flag, not being that and anything that's like you're fighting the wrong battle at that point.
Mhm.
And that's why the parents come in and they're like, oh yeah, that's great that you guys are trying to be so perfect and that you were very critical for the way that we raised you, and here's how our parents raised us, so like, go fuck yourselves. We think we did an okay job, or we did the best we could.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
And in
very
so
true.
many ways, I think that what I enjoyed about this is that it does feel like a love story, that we're as much as we're also trying to be better for our child, I think we're trying to be better for each other, and
Yeah.
like having one last hurrah before this other member joins the family, of just this partnership going full out, the full throttle of our marriage.
Um, I'm curious, Joshua, too. I'm familiar with some of your other work, and you do these kind of small budget films that are very focused on dialogue and really wonderful writing, and how you've kind of developed that style over the years. Um, and do you find it freeing to kind of not have all of these like sets and things, and just speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think, I think it took me a long time to get to the fact that this is just really, it's really what I like doing. I really, the questions that we ask in these films and the conversations that I get to have with, my friends and trusted collaborators are the ones that I want to be having. If there is anything unique about me as a creative force, I think, leaning into that, it is the most natural extension of who I am and what I care about. And look, if somebody wants to give me a bunch more money to approach the same issue, I'm totally down with that.
Yeah.
But have found a really nice balance between, being able to work on bigger stuff as an actor and kind of, and learn a ton and keep the bills paid, and then really hone in on stuff that makes my heart sing when I'm making my own stuff or working with, dear collaborators.
Yeah, I feel that really that comes across is the attention to the writing and the conversations and the dialogue. That's kind of the core, and all the other stuff, is great. But I think that you've really developed that, and I see that in this film.
And also, to be clear, we should give credit to all the actors, because when you say writing, this was actually a 9-page treatment that
Wow.
I kind of started with, and then Jess participated in and really figured out together. And all the dialogue itself is improvised. So
Love that.
there are very few lines in this movie that either of us actually wrote, unless we were in character speaking in the moment. So a lot of the writing on these movies actually happens in the editing process, because you wind up with 45-minute scenes that need to be 6 minutes. So you figure out how to kind of get from there to there.
So do you you just have kind of a framework of the way that you want the scene to be, and then you just kind of go into it, or?
Yeah. And I should also say, I mean, look, I was lucky enough that kind of Blair Witch was the start of my career, which was an improvised movie, and then was so lucky to have, fallen in and become friends with Mark and Jay Duplass and Lynn Shelton, and get to collaborate with those folks who work in a similar style, and much credit to them. A lot of the honing of this style is just shit that they figured out and we ripped off. But yeah, I mean, from a technical perspective, usually what you do is while you're still kind of writing the scene or figuring out the arc of the scene, you shoot your masters, and then once you've kind of got a groove for what for like, once there's some tracks laid and there's a rhythm for where people think they're going in the scene, that's when you kind of move into coverage. And then you take a big messy pile of files on hard drives into the edit room and try to figure it all out.
Yeah. Jess, were you involved in the editing of the film at all?
I was not.
Okay,
No,
so
I just got to talk for like 25 minutes or 45 minutes.
So were you surprised when you saw the final film?
Somewhat, but I mean, it really crystallized what we did in those scenes. We kind of just did variations on each of those scenes that went on and on. But what I was surprised by is that it worked. I was like, this is amazing that these scenes,
me too,
tied together. Because we knew the journey we wanted them to have and the story we wanted to tell, but it turned out, I mean, better than I ever could have imagined. And that's, Josh in the editing room for a year.
We knew we cracked each other up on set, but we also had 7.5 days to make a movie, and we're really trying to stick to 10-hour days, because the lead of the film was very, very pregnant at the time. and you know, ultimately it's a 12 scene movie. So if any one of those scenes like we actually completely shit the bed on,
Mhm.
like the movie kind of doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we all went in knowing that it might not work. And we made it for so little money that we were willing to take that risk. And yeah, once we started editing, we were like, this might not totally suck.
So I'm curious.
I think the one with the parent. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, you can go.
I was just gonna say, I think the one with the parents was the scariest for us because we suddenly had 5 people in a room
Hmm.
who weren't maybe as used to doing this improv style
Hmm.
as we were. And that's the one where I'm like, Josh, how are you gonna do it? Because it's the finale, it's the
Yeah.
finale.
Yeah. And
And with so much credit to Sean Drummond and Chelsea Bow, along with the actors, the incredible
Yeah.
actors who played our parents in that scene, Michael Chieffo and Beth Grant and Tom Bauer. But Chelsea and Sean were our like 27-year-old producers who just had the energy to figure this all out.
yeah.
And right around the end of production, Chelsea asked me, she was like, who's going to edit this thing? And I was like, I literally have no clue. We have no money to hire an editor. She was like, I could start playing around with it. And then I was like, I guess I could learn Premiere. So Chelsea and I just wound up, neither of us are editors
Yeah.
because we couldn't afford to hire an editor. We just
Yeah.
figured it all out. And her and her husband, Sean, who are just a dynamic producing, directing team, would literally come over and crash out on the couch and make my 3-year-old breakfast the next morning,
I
and we would
love
just
it.
edit until 5 in the morning. So it was a family experience for sure.
I love that, and you definitely feel that in the film. That it's just a collaboration of just like-minded people and love. I think that comes across. What are your plans for the film? And because I know that obviously it's been a difficult year virtually, and what are you both working on next?
We are in the process of selling the film right now. We
Mhm.
should have more information on that. It's been such a bummer because it would have been such a, the film has played at like a number of just wonderful film festivals such as yours, and it would have been so much fun to go out and talk to everybody about it, but
I
we
know.
came this way instead. And I'm in pre-production on a movie right now. But then later on this summer, Jess and I Jess and I have a little secret project that we've got cooked up that we're going to be doing towards the end of the summer, early fall.
That's awesome. Yeah, have you felt that actually this time, both of you as writers, and has given you time to think about more ideas, or has it been creatively exciting, or has it been kind of just like, oh no, like more time at
I
home?
wouldn't say the pandemic formed what we're doing. I think we were
Yeah.
going to do what we're doing next anyway,
Yeah.
but it definitely left a lot of space
Right.
for us to pour our whole hearts into working with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been working with him on this next scene has been the main thing in my life, career-wise, that I've been interested in, and
Mhm.
all this time to think about our own lives. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I'm buried more things to
Yeah, it really
make
has been
sure.
a lot of time of introspective, and sometimes it's been challenging to be creative in it, I think, too, because you, as someone who is creative, you think that, oh, you have time now, so I should be making stuff, but it's also insane time. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I actually feel like I owe Josh a lot for helping pull me out of my own head and and being like, let's do this. It's like, we're gonna do this. And it's like, yes, we're gonna do this, because it's easy to just be alone sometimes. Yeah.
For sure.
I feel the same about you, Jess. Thank you.
Well, I'm so excited to see what you guys create again. I think it definitely paid off in this film. And it was, yeah, like I said, just a beautiful tale of love and friendship and all kinds of things. And just thank you both. And I know whatever you come up with next is going to be just as amazing. So I look forward to
Thank you.
it.
So nice to hear people watch it. Thank you.
Yeah. It's really, it is a film that stuck with me for a long time. So
That's really
yeah,
cool.
I'm really
That
glad
means a
that we get
lot.
to share it. So
And thank you guys for programming us and helping to spread the word to the audience. We really appreciate it.
thank you both so much, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, you too,
So-
Sky.